Hello everybody, welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wins for the Chateau Lavande and the Spring Major Tournament here in Golf Clash the game. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and before we start, make sure that you do subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the notifications and hit that thumbs up button. You can get the ultimate tournament guides by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Link you have directly in the description down below. Follow the info box on the right hand side to get the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that all of the adjustments are suggestions from my end. You don't have to follow what I do suggest, but there is always a plan behind it. If you have any questions, send us an email to support@golfclashtommy.com or make a comment in the comment section below. Thanks again for checking out the video, and let's go to hole number 1. Let's take a look, and we're going to start by using a driver that gives us 6 bars of topspin. It doesn't have to be the Apocalypse level 6. It can be Apocalypse level 3 plus, Extra Mile level 8. It can also be the Thor's Hammer level 5 plus. So you do have multiple drivers to choose between. We're aiming to be a little bit more to the right of the fairway when the wind is left to right. And if we have wind coming right to left, we aim a little bit more left of the fairway instead. Maximum distance plus 10, and we go with half a ball of curl to the left. The important part here now with this shot is that we do have the ball coming in on the left side, because if we do come in too far to the right, you can see how much it slopes from left to right here, that the ball takes its turn out to the right, that if we are too far to the right on that fairway, we will roll into the rough on the right, and then that is going to obviously make the eagle attempt much tougher. Second shot, you have an option here as always. 1, you can play with your wedge, or 2, you can play with your short iron if you have a short drive and play from minimum distance, or 3, then we go for a dunk. And when I'm in a situation like this, I'm going to go for a dunk. And the thing that I will be using here is from this range, I play minimum distance, no elevation, and making sure that I aim at the back end of the cup. That is super duper important, because if you don't aim at the back end of the cup, then you will most likely fall short. As said, no elevation, minimum distance, numbers, and then try to hit perfect. Once again, if you're going to play a different way, then that will be a different adjustment, because if you're playing with a wedge or a short iron, you will have to play either 10 or 20% elevation depending on what wind angle we're gonna have, because what the dunk does is that it obviously takes away the effect from the wind after the first bounce. Why? It's because there is no first bounce with the dunk, and that's why the dunk could in some cases be much more easier to get to drop than having to bounce a couple of times towards the pin. Hole number 1 offers a good opportunity in my opinion. Let's start with hole number 2, and we're gonna see 2 options here. One is gonna be an aggressive rough bump, one is going to just be a normal fairway bounce. We go to the rough, we use 2.2 bars of topspin, 1 bar side spin to the right. You can see that I have the yellow ring completely inside the rough there, with the ball guideline slightly short of pin. We could argue with the fact that we need to reduce the topspin just a little bit to make sure that we're not going to come in too hot. Medium distance plus 10 is what I'm using here now, and then it's time to take our shot. Medium plus 10 power 3 ball settings to be completely exact. Perfect ball is coming soon! Oh! Right down the wire, and we clip the rough nicely, and then it rolls, but it come in a bit too hot in my opinion. Maybe we should reduce the topspin just a little bit, and honestly we drop left side of the cup. Maybe we could argue with, if we do have an 8 mile per hour plus wind, we might could reduce might could add 0.1 to our adjustment. But now I'm being picky. It was a nice drop there, but if you do not care for a rough bump like that, let's take a look at a normal bounce up option with a special little trick with a special ball that I'm gonna show you. So for the bounce up option, we are going to play a replay for you here, but have in mind that I start with a Titan ball to find absolute minimum distance with half of the blue ring inside the rough. Once I've done that, I add the spin here, okay? So I'm using 1.8 bars of backspin and 2 bars of side spin to the right. Once that is done, I change to a special ball. It's gonna be a win 5, power 0 or power 1. Doesn't matter if it is a power 0 or a power 1, just that it is a win 5 together with that, because if you don't, you're gonna be in between clubs, and that's going to be a problem. And the reason I want to do this type of play here is because I do want to have the bounce further back, as I feel that we take away the slope a bit from, from play, in my opinion. We just barely get that ball to drop in the hole, but I will take that all day and every day, because bouncing on that fairway is not really going to bring us a 100% consistency, which obviously no shot is going to give us, but the rough bump is definitely going to be the best option of them two. Maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment with power 0 ball adjustment is what we're gonna do. Very important to have that in mind. So hole number 2, 2 options for you all. So let's start off with the drive, and now we do have tailwind. With crosswind and tailwind, we are going to fight to get our ball over on the right hand side. And I'm going to, in this case, use 5 bars of topspin, 3 bars of side spin to the right, and we will adjust for max plus 20. Push up to max, and you can see here now that I changed from 4 to 5 bars of topspin. As already said, we're going to play with 5 bars. 1 ball of curl to the left with this wind, and try to hit perfect from max overpower. Have in mind that if you play with a straight tailwind, you cannot go full overpower if you do have 8 miles per hour or more, and obviously that's going to have to be tweaked some topspin. Let's say that if you do have a headwind, then you cannot go over on the right or on the left for that matter. Then you need to play at the center of the fairway instead, trying to either do a double bounce or just a single bounce over the rough to lay up for a sniper towards the pin. That is still a makeable shot, obviously, but this is the way we want to play. Now we are somewhat around 25 to 30% club of the Grizzly here, and I'm using minus 15% elevation. The Grizzly level 9 does have the top spin enough, but please be aware, with lower level type of Grizzly, you may want to change it up and play with the Goliath instead to make sure that you do have the top spin enough to reach towards the pin. Especially in a crosswind, I would recommend you to make sure that you have at least 4.5 bar topspin on your long iron. So again, I'm not playing this one entirely medium distance. I'm playing it around 35% club, but we need to reduce just slightly to get this ball to drop. But this is a finicky shot, as it is an uphill adjustment, and uphill adjustments aren't that easy, especially when we're doing a rough bump like this. We're getting close though, and this is, in my opinion, the absolute best way to try to get this ball to drop for an albatross. And if we do have a tailwind, you will see many of your opponents either, drop it. Yeah, you will see many of your opponents get a good chance, and some of them will get that shot to drop. So, this is going to be a tough par 3 because we're going to play with a lot of elevation, and it's always going to be difficult to find the correct speed and direction with that. I start with the blue ring by the bunker, 2.8 backspin, 1.5 bar side spin to the left. I'm making sure that the ball guideline go through the hole when we do have some headwind. That is going to be very important, otherwise you will 100% of the times fall short. If you do have tailwind, you need to apply the opposite type of way, which is when tailwind, we need to leave the ball guideline short of hole, otherwise we will come in too hot. I will be adjusting maximum distance with a 40% over adjustment, and that is a lot, but that is going to be needed, otherwise we will miss this shot, because now it's not just that we are going to play downhill from the tee, and when we hit the ground, the ball is still going to have a high bounce, or not high bounce, but a long bounce, and therefore be more affected by the wind. We're getting it to just drop right at pin for a lovely hole-in-one here on hole number 4. And once again, obviously, depending on what wind angle you're going to have, the play is going to be different. And those of you that do have the possibility to play with a wind ball, I'm not going to be against that at all. But as we're trying to keep this free to play, I just want to at least add that that a wind ball will most definitely help, because that could take you from having to do 2 pulls like I'm doing there, adjusting around 11.5 rings if I'm not mistaken, to adjust less than 10 rings, and that's going to be make it much easier for you to be accurate on a tough par 3 with a lot of elevation like hole number 4. So let's start off with the drive, and here when we do have tailwind, I want us to push the drive to go as far down the fairway possible and to try to get into somewhat medium to minimum range short iron here. And I'm using, in this case, 3 bars of topspin. I'm using a max side spin to the left, and I'm playing with a kingmaker. You don't have to play with a kingmaker, but that's my go-to ball when I want to play with a power 3 ball. Adjust maximum distance plus 10. Push up to max. I'm using half a ball of curl to the left, and the plan here is obviously to hit perfect. You will see the ball bounce nicely on the fairway, but I just slightly miscalculate the amount of topspin needed, and we just barely clip the edge of the rough there. So 4 bars of topspin would be better, but I'm keeping this video here because we still get ourselves into short iron range, and that is the value with that aggressive drive that we're doing. Sure, we can play over to the left and play up with a short iron from max distance or a long iron from minimum distance as well. It's up to you to decide, but I like to play this route because I feel that now we have more green to work on. We have a more flat, so to speak, fairway to play on than we do have on the left hand side. Unfortunately, I do misread the club distance here, and we will miss on the right hand side. But with an approach shot like this, I do like to go without spin to try to have as a natural bounce possible. Using a lot of spin, in my opinion, will sometimes create an effect of the ball that you cannot really control in the same extent, at least, as you can do with no spin. So we need a couple of extra decimals there with our thorn, and I would recommend to play no elevation because it is slight uphill. But when we do play with such a high wind as we're doing, or like such a high wind, we're playing with a decent wind at least, then we need to make sure that we do add a little bit extra elevation to compensate for the wind push when the ball hits the ground. So please play the shot better than what I do, but regardless though, this is in tour play and in tournament play a very good chance for a drop. So let's start with the drive here. Now we do have some tailwind, and we're gonna talk about the different wind angles in just a bit. 6 bars of topspin, 3 bars side spin to the right, and as you have noticed, I haven't touched my target yet. Now I will, because I will adjust for a maximum distance plus 10. So what we do here is that we play a method that is called no movement. We adjust for max plus 10, then we go max over power without pushing up to max. And the reason we do that is when we use overpower and not being in max distance club, we will not have such a fast needle. And then it's going to be much easier than to hit perfect with that max overpowered shot. If you do have a headwind, you cannot reach over the first rough, then you're going to have to bounce before. Then it is recommended to play with not the sniper, but play with a cataclysm or the big dog, because if headwind on this hole, this is just going to be a very boring and trying to get as a safe eagle possible here on hole number 6. But if we do have the chance to blast it like we did there, we have 2 options. One, we can go for a rough bump, and the rough bump is going to be very technical and most likely going to be something that is not going to be for everyone. So I'm going to play a bounce, like a bounce shot towards the pin. I'm going to leave the ball guideline short when I have tailwind, because the ball will be pushed by the wind more, because also we're playing this such a far way downhill. I'm playing 40% elevation here, and I'm actually playing it medium distance club from this range. Spin will vary depending on where you end up with your drive, but I would recommend to keep yourself on the left side of the fairway with your first bounce, as that is a bit more consistent when your first where your first bounce is going to be. You see, it rolls, we have a good speed, maybe a little bit too hot here, could have just backed up maybe a smidge more, and that would most likely get that ball to drop. In the end though, this is not a hole that I do expect to drop much, and I do think that you should have the same mindset yourself. But does that matter that we should just take it easy, not push for it? Of course not. We shall push for the albatross, but we shall not be pissed off if we miss it in the end. So, max plus 10 for the drive, 40% elevation, true club distance for the second shot here on hole number 6 from the second tee. So let's take a look at hole number 7, and here I'm going to play an aggressive rough bump. You may not enjoy this type of shot, but this is the shot that will bring the most consistency in making an hole-in-one. And then sometimes we're going to have to play it aggressive, because the other options, and sure there is other types of rough bumps, but they are not in any means the same drop rate as this rough bump that we do have just above the bunker. You can see that I play with maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment, power 2 ball settings. I'm making sure that I do play with a 1201 pull angle, which means that I'm not having the wind arrow straight, I have the wind arrow pointing more to the right. And that is very important, as we otherwise risk missing the rough in tailwind. So this is a rough bump that is going to be aggressive. If you feel uncomfortable with this and don't want to play it for any reason, you might not care about having the best chance for an hole-in-one, then just play on the fairway, bounce it up towards the pin, or find another route that you feel more comfortable with. But this is the best way to play, and that's the way we're gonna do it. If we do have headwind, we cannot play with a sniper, then we need to change and play with a driver instead. Then you need to make sure that you do have at least that you do play with a power 2 ball maximum, because otherwise you will go in between clubs between the sniper and the driver that you are playing. It is recommended to use a wind ball here, but I want to show you that even with a wind 3 we can still have a good effect. So let's take a look at hole number 8, and this has a very weird camera view. The rings look so weird in my opinion on this hole that it's a little bit funny, I must say. But here I'm going to play my drive with the driver that do have the most power possible in headwind. In tailwind and crosswind, I would recommend to play with the rock if you want to lay up. If you do have direct tailwind, we're actually going to blast it for green. Unfortunately, the tailwind blast is not something that I will display here, but we're gonna lay up and go for an interesting rough bump. Maximum distance with a 25% over adjustment. You can see how much downhill it is from second tee here, and we're gonna use a little bit of overpower, and the reason I'm using overpower is because I adjusted into overpower. So that goes to each and every one of you that are watching here, that if you adjust into overpower, you need and shall use overpower as well. 316 yards, and this is going to let us play with a long iron towards the pin. And the thing we need to have in mind here is that this rough bump it's tricky for two reasons, I would say. That is tailwind and tailwind and headwind. Because if we do have headwind, we're gonna adjust from a higher to a lower point, which means that we're gonna lose distance, which means that we're technically needs to reduce our adjustment because the ball will hit the ground sooner. Which is weird. But when we do have tailwind, we have just from a lower to a higher ground, which technically then mean that we need to add to our adjustment because we're going to have a longer flight path, because the higher up we're getting, the more the ball is going to fly. So it's kind of the opposite here, and I kind of mess it up here because I do make a slight over adjustment here that I shouldn't have been doing. We need to reduce like a 3-4 decimals to get that ball to drop, but that mindset is something we need to have in mind when playing this shot. In crosswind it's much more easier because then we don't have to think like that, but have in mind that if you're playing tailwind, the ball will fly longer because you adjust from a lower to a higher point. When you play in headwind, you adjust from a higher to a lower point and the ball will fly shorter, and that always going to have an impact on that adjustment. So hole number 8 offers a good opportunity, but I would say that if we do have tailwind can go for green, it's a must eagle. Otherwise it's going to be a tough one, but very makeable one. So let's start off here with a little tailwind, but mainly crosswind. And now we're going to push the drive hard because there is an enormous value in trying to go straight down the fairway. Sure, we could take the easy route out and curl it around and play left, but that's going to leave us with a very difficult approach shot by going with that rough bump, and that's only recommended, in my opinion, if we do have a little bit of headwind, in my opinion. So we adjust max plus 10. We then push up to max if it's needed. If we're still in max, we cannot push up to max. Max overpower and try to hit. Perfect. A great right will still be fine, nothing to be alarmed about. And the plan here, once again, to play on the fairway and to then just get the ball as far down the fairway possible here. And you know, the tricky part here when we push the drive is as hard as we do is that we don't really know in what type of club range we will be for the second shot. So it's very important that you then estimate and go based on that. Now we're playing it from absolute minimum distance, so we will change the little typo that we do have in the info box there and change it to minimum distance, because minimum distance is what we're gonna use. So we're gonna leave the club at absolute minimum distance line here and ball guideline to the hole. And now when we do have crosswind, the mistake I do here is to not count that crosswind will have an effect, because I do play 10% elevation. We should have played it 15%, because with a 10% we don't really add in the effect that the wind is going to have. Especially a crosswind does have a lot of an effect on a specific shot. Perfect ball, and you can see that we hit the fairway nicely, but again, we do need to have that little bit extra so we don't miss as we do here on the right side of the cup. Speed-wise, we come in nicely though, and if we can play for minimum distance line, I gladly take that, because that is going to give us a decent chance for a drop here on hole number 9. It's not going to be a hole where we're gonna drop loads, but give ourselves an attempt, then we're obviously gonna drop more than 0, which is obviously much better. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough with various wins for Pro and Expert Division for the Chateau Lavande in the Spring Major Tournament. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. And once again, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. Get the Ultimate Tournament Guide for Pro or Expert Division, obviously for Master Division as well, by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy and improve your tournament play. Once again, thank you for watching and good luck in your Golf Clash game.